Hello there, welcome to Conversations with BrandKnew, published by ISD Global. Today we have the good fortune and privilege of having Mr. Balaji Vaidyanathan, Director of Marketing for CEEME. I'm sure he'll explain what it is as we pick up
CEMEA.
CEMEA for Franklin Templeton Investments. And without further ado, let me introduce the guest for the day, Balaji. Let me begin with asking you a bit about yourself. It's something about your background.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Like Suresh said, I'm Balaji Vaidyanathan. I head marketing for Franklin Templeton based in Dubai. The region I look after is called Central Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa, which is CEMEA. I've been here in this role for a little over 3 years now. Prior to this, I was with Franklin Templeton for 9 years in the India office. I used to head investor education and the brand, and I also used to do a lot of work around channel management, media buying, budgeting, etc. I've been a career marketer all my life, so close to 20 years of experience in marketing. Passed out from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade in 2002 and joined with the Aditya Birla Group as a group management trainee off campus. Spent a year with them and then straight away got into marketing. First did a bit of sales and then straight away got into marketing. So close to 18 years of my career has been marketing. Spent a lot of time with various financial services companies in India, and then had the good fortune to move to Dubai a few years back in an extended role for what I was doing with Franklin Templeton. So that's a little bit about me. Enjoying the life in Dubai. It's a very different work atmosphere. It's a very different work culture from how I've been used to in India. Plus, even the width and depth of work has been quite different from what we've seen in the past. So it's a new challenge every day, and I'm quite looking forward to it.
Excellent. May the force be with you, Bala. You've been with BFSI space for quite some time, almost 2 decades, 20 years or so. Was there a natural affinity towards that sector? How did it happen?
It's interesting you ask that. And I would say that, if you go back to that movie, it said luck by chance. I think my career has also been a lot by luck by chance only. When I was doing my MBA, I definitely wanted to specialize into marketing, but I was very apprehensive about BFSI and particularly mutual funds in general. I always used to think mutual funds were a very complicated subject, not something I could understand. But as fate would have it, I've been doing that for over, 15 plus years, and it just took me here. And over time, I've really grown to love BFSI and especially the mutual fund marketing. I think what really drives me about this is that the category itself is so underpenetrated that there is a lot of opportunity. Also, if I look at it, what am I doing here? I'm not selling, just to be fair to my other colleagues, I'm not selling a soap or a paste or even a shampoo. I'm actually trying to pitch something to a client or a consumer where he needs to invest over 15, 20, maybe even 25 years and look to plan for his long-term goals. So personally also, I've had a lot of satisfaction when I see that investors across the world are looking at committing themselves for such long times and trusting their money with us so that they can meet their long-term goals. And that's the kick which I get in BFSI, to be able to help them on that path of journey of self-discovery and self-fulfillment.
Fantastic. So now actually Bala can say that mutual funds are here. So you worked in Bombay, the financial capital of India, for a long period of time, and then you moved to Dubai. And probably, is it chalk and cheese? Is it black and white? What is the difference that you notice?
So obviously, wherever you go, there are some similarities in markets, and there are always some differences. But if I look at India first, it's one of the world's largest end consumer or retail markets. There's no denying that. Yet, in a market like India, mutual funds as a category itself is so underpenetrated. So a lot of the work which one would do as a marketer or a brand leader in that country would be around trying to get more and more people to, one, know the benefits and get aware about mutual funds, and two, then try and talk about your brand in a positive manner so that there is a brand preference once they decide to come and try and look at investing in mutual funds. So a lot in that category is more about investor education, brand awareness, and even category awareness so that people could come and start investing in mutual funds and consider that as a viable investment option. Now cut to CEMEA. Let's take Dubai particularly as an example. The Middle East is one of the world's largest institutional markets in the world. I think 4 out of 10 sovereign wealth funds and 7 out of 15 top sovereign wealth funds are in the Middle East. So definitely it's quite an evolved market. And yet, when you see how do most of our sales happen, while one is institutional, you also have a very strong B2B advisory business. So we don't sell directly to end clients in this region. It's our advisors, whether it's banks, insurance wrappers, online platforms, who are actually going out and selling to the consumers. But that given and said, the category of consumers here are a little more evolved than how you would see in India. Hence, a lot of work which we do here is not around basic awareness or probably even building the brand. Yes, we do a lot of brand building, but we also do a lot of work around thought leadership, because at the end of the day, how do we differentiate ourselves as a thought leader is what's going to drive investors and advisors to consider us for their investments. So to sum this up, to say it very simply, I think India offers a lot of depth in the what we have to do, but the width is a little limited because of what we're doing there. But if I look at Middle East and some of the other countries within SEMEA, there is a whole lot of width in what I'm going to get possibly to be able to do it. And as we go along, I'll probably talk a little bit more about the different markets that we have and what are the nuances in some of them. But that's broadly the difference.
That's well articulated, Bala. Let me move on to another thing that I'm very, very curious of asking most people that I meet up with. Do you think brands and organizations over time have lost the art of storytelling?
I think it's very unfair to say that. I believe if you look at the marketing playbook, it's constantly evolving. And if you've seen what's happened in the last couple of years, a lot of customer loyalty has been actually questioned because more and more people are going online. They're not going and doing in-person experiences with brands. And therefore, I think that loyalty becoming an issue or a sticky issue, brands need to get more and more into storytelling. If I just do a transaction ad or if I just do an ad which does not connect with the consumer, I think he's not going to go and invest in the brand. And today, therefore, while it's unfair to say that brands have lost the art of storytelling, I think, yes, they need to probably fine-tune that further, improve on that a little more. But at the same time, storytelling is going to remain the core of that playbook. And that's what's going to get consumers to come and choose one brand over the other. Look at a category like asset management. It's mostly commoditized, right? How do I differentiate my one product A from another product B of the other brand or another competition? That's where the client is going to come and say, hey, I connect with this brand, or I'm able to see something with this brand. And that's going to come through probably some amount of storytelling. Yes, you always have the left brain, right brain sort of conflict happening. But what do you do in that case is any clear marketer would have to take best of elements of the right brain, combine it with the left brain element. So he's got to take creative, he's got to take emotions, he's got to mix that with analytics and science, which is happening more and more as we see. And today, that playbook is going to evolve with the marketer becoming both a left and right brain centric sort of a marketer more than anything else. And therefore, storytelling, I believe, should not be dying. Storytelling would be something which would be one of the key differentiators as you go along the way.
You occupy a very, very central role, in terms of heading brand and marketing for MEA region for Franklin Templeton. So what exactly would the brand be doing? What is your remit? What all do you do to kind of make sure the reach, the recall, the equity building, the connectivity, all that happens parallelly in sync?
So let me talk a little bit about the region. I already mentioned that, it's Central Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa. So on paper, there are around 25 to 30 countries which are part of this remit. Obviously, from a smart marketer, you would use the Pareto's principle and say, okay, 20% is what I'm going to focus on because 80% of my business is going to come from there. And hence, there are some key markets within this region, which is where I actually put all our marketing efforts on. And it's quite interesting because I'll give you some examples of how each of these regions are different from each other. I already spoke about the Middle East being one of the world's largest institutional markets with sovereign wealth funds, etc. Big B2B advisor model through whom we sell, and therefore a little evolved. On the other hand, then, one of the other countries which are part of my remit is a country which is Poland, where it's almost like what India was a couple of decades back. So Poland is very, very, very retail. And if you look at the market over there, they're in a similar situation what India used to be maybe 10 years back, where they've lost money due to financial advisors, they've not been able to trust asset managers, and overall, while the propensity to save in bank deposits is high, they've still not been able to consider mutual funds or investment, they call it almost like investment managers, as a asset class to consider. So a lot of work over there goes around fundamental brand building, fundamental, making awareness about the category itself, and how do I get people through investor education to start considering, one, mutual funds as a category, and two, then starting to come and invest with them. So it's much like what India used to be a few years back. Then you have another country like South Africa, which is far evolved. And even if you take a country like India, for example, and I keep comparing just to give you guys an idea, Indians have a very home country bias. They don't like to typically invest too much of their money outside. So whether it's like a US opportunities or a Europe opportunities or a Japan opportunities or emerging market, they don't really go out and invest. Most of the money stays within the country. And that's what's called home bias investing. But if you look at a country like South Africa, surprisingly, we sell only offshore funds there. So anyone who's actually coming to us is someone who's actively considered investing outside his own country. Therefore, look at the differences between the various markets, and these are just 3 examples I've picked up. There are a lot more, whether it's in Israel or a Greece and Cyprus or other parts of CEE like Budapest or Slovenia, Slovakia, etc. But even if I pick up these 3 countries, there's so much of a fundamental difference in how we have to pitch to each of these. So the way we approach marketing, there is no one shoe size fits all approach. You need to categorize, you need to be very smart about how you're segmenting and how you're prioritizing your different communication strategies within each market. Whether it's brand building in one, whether there's certain types of themes which are getting promoted in another, whether there's certain types of clients which you're looking at in another, and that's how you have to go about doing this whole thing. Overall, however, 2 things stay very important to us. One is obviously the brand and therefore from their investor education. And 2, irrespective of the markets we are in, we look at thought leadership as a very important platform. Now, thought leadership in a slightly less developed market could be more basic level, but in a slightly more evolved market could go down to specific strategies and styles of investing, which could be apt for that market. And that's how we are able to differentiate within different regions within CMEA itself.
Before I go further, firstly, congratulations to the brand for launching the Hello Progress campaign. Okay, I would want to understand from you the journey to kind of actually doing that, the big inspiration, the motivation to do that, and how has it been received in the market post the launch?
Suresh, thanks for asking that question. I think the Hello Progress campaign has been a great milestone for us in over 75 years. It's been one of the largest brand campaigns that we've done globally. To step back a little and to talk about how Hello Progress actually came to life, it's a very interesting thing. We always knew that we wanted to come with a brand refresh because a year back, we took over this company known as Legg Mason globally, and from close to $700 million, we doubled our AUM to around $1.5 trillion, making us one of the world's largest independent asset managers. What this gave us was a lot of capabilities and opportunities for end clients and advisors which were before not available. And when we looked at what Franklin Templeton stood for in the past, a lot of research had told us that trust was a very, very important factor which everyone associated with Franklin Templeton globally. Very recently, we did a survey which further gave us that proof that trust is one of the core values which a lot of people associate Franklin Templeton with. That's the good news. The not so good news which came out of this was the fact that while trust is important and trust was there, most people thought that Franklin Templeton was very old-fashioned or very irrelevant in their day-to-day lives, and hence was not getting considered. I don't know whether it's to do with the blue, boring brand, which most financial services firm either stick to blue, red, or green in terms of colors, whether it's the Benjamin Franklin.
The consumers go red in the face.
Still the consumers go red in the face on a lighter note. But the fact is that it was becoming almost irrelevant, and people were not being able to recognize, therefore, what the brand has actually done in the last 10 or 20 years and has had so many new things, including this whole takeover. And that's the reason why we said that we wanted to go in for a new brand refresh. And how did Hello Progress itself come along? Progress itself, and while it does say hello and progress, I think the more important word for us here is about progress. Progress itself is a very intrinsic, opportunistic perspective and outlook on life. Who does not want to progress in life? Whether in life, whether in everything we do, in every day-to-day thing, we all want to progress. And hence, it was a natural, positive call to action which we wanted to embody in everything that we stood for as a firm. And that's how Hello Progress actually came to life. The other thing which we did, and you asked about how it's been able to connect with consumers, we've used different ways of launching the Hello Progress campaign across the world. So unlike what used to happen previously in marketing in the last couple of years, you had any advertising money, you go and do only digital. We were very conscious of the fact that this needs to be a 360-degree, fully integrated marketing campaign, almost like what I call the surround sound marketing. Hence, we looked at TV in certain countries, we looked at out of home, we looked at digital out of home, we looked at digital in general, social and print. So you're seeing that there's an extensive 360-degree media usage getting used to communicate this message. Let me give you a couple of examples before I tell you how clients have reacted and end clients have reacted to this. In Dubai, we launched with a huge activation with a 3-minute takeover on the Burj Khalifa. Incidentally, that was close to the global launch of the brand campaign. Now tell me, in history, which US or largely American-based firm would have even considered saying, hey, I want to do a global brand launch for a new campaign, but I'm going to do it in some other country and much less even the Middle East to do it in Dubai. But that's the way the firm has been looking at it. That's the way the firm realizes that today, it's a global playbook, right? Wherever clients are across the world, they will see that if a certain type of branding is going to happen and it's interesting, it does not matter where you're based. And that's why we chose the Burj almost to launch the campaign. We started with a 3-minute takeover, and that got us very high and positive response. Just to give you an example, Franklin Templeton recently also got onto TikTok, and we launched a channel on TikTok, and the Burj post-activation video was the first and as of now the only video put there. It's got us over 600,000 views and close to 70,000 likes. I don't think the firm has ever seen such reactions to anything which has happened before. And I'm very proud to say that we were able to spearhead that with the launch in the Burj in Dubai. Let's look at some of the other regions. In London, we're actually doing a very interesting play where we're taking an outdoor hoarding which is going to eat away carbon emissions from autos. So when we talk about green in one of our creatives or sustainability as one of the points or pillars we're going to live through, we're actually doing it through advertising. And over the course of the few weeks, it's going to take away carbon emissions from few thousand cars who are going to go from that direction. How we're doing it is through a chemical which is coated on the outdoor hoarding, but we're actually living the fact that green is one of our strong creatives, for example. And then flip to say in Italy, where in Milan, we're tying up with a big cultural event as a sponsor, where we're talking about innovation and diversity and inclusion. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just going and doing a few spots on TV or not just going and doing something on OTT or digital. This is a fully thought out integrated campaign across 14 big countries around the world, making it a first ever large global campaign of this scale. The client responses, consumer responses have been terrific. The Burj, for example, I've already given a reason on how the results have been, but people have loved it. So thankfully, fingers crossed, Hello Progress has been seen very well by audiences, and we're very happy. Well. Yes, and we're very happy with the way it is. Yes, we realize as a brand, and this is very serious, that you don't stop with just a brand launch. Hello Progress needs to be a part of what we're doing, a part of our DNA, and that's where the phase 2, phase 3, and the phase XYZ, as you call it, will actually come in when we start living that Hello Progress, when we start delivering better client outcomes to our clients. And that's how I see Hello Progress has been.
That's a great story, Bala, and well articulated. Thank you for that. In the same spirit, because you mentioned about doing things which are not just run-of-the-mill, you kind of take those small or big moonshots in terms of going tangential while remaining authentic and relevant. Increasingly use the word commodity, right? Asset management, a few minutes back. See, in an increasingly commoditized world, the once revered USP, the unique selling proposition, is no longer relevant. That myth has been absolutely dismantled. And we at ISD Global has always been propagating to all our clients and brand partners the concept of unique feeling proposition, the UFP.
Yes.
So you knowingly pay premium for traveling Singapore Airlines, and A380 is an A380.
Correct.
Right? You go knowing fully well that you pay 15% more at Spinneys compared to whatever it is, right? It is how the brand makes you feel, or the solution makes you feel, or the service makes you feel. I would like to understand your thought on it, Bala, and how is Franklin Templeton, is it something that will resonate with the brand Franklin Templeton? And I suspect you would already be kind of on that path already.
It's a very, very interesting question, and it also brings down to a couple of other things which people are doing. So while we speak about feelings, I think a lot of it translates from what the brand actually stands for. And we've discussed this in the past on many other places also. Apart from your 4 P's of general marketing, 3 additional P's of services marketing, today the biggest P I believe is the purpose. And that purpose is what connects to an audience, connects to a consumer, connects to why you choose product A, which could be a commodity, over product B, why you choose the Singapore Airlines A380 as you mentioned. But a lot of brands, unfortunately, probably look at it as, this is a tick box thing to do. Everyone's talking about it, so let me also do this.
Good to have.
It's a good to have, or it's almost like the CEO somewhere told me I need to add purpose to our brand, so let me just add it and tick it off. That's not how it is. When we even did this whole Hello Progress campaign, and maybe it's a good time we're doing this interview because I have a lot of speaking points about what we've done on the Hello Progress, and I mentioned it, we were living that blue. And blue's been our essence for so many years, but blue's also boring. Today,
especially if you're looking at a blue ocean opportunity.
Especially if you're looking at a blue good one. And when we look at what Franklin Templeton in this space, for example, has done, we have been able to cut away completely from the blue. And it's just a simple example on how feelings could become a part of your life, how feelings could become a part of the logo, how feelings could become a part of what you communicate. And we have changed colors which are completely bold, vibrant. Now we have colors which are skews. It's like a palette of what we call oranges, purples,
and very non-BFSI.
Very bright. Very non-BFSI. We've never done it in the past. We know competitors have never done it. But very importantly, the fact that these colors are rooted in our core of our purpose of strong pillars of diversity, inclusion, of innovation, and sustainability is what we stand for. And therefore, we are making sure that every point that we connect with our clients and consumers, they appreciate this. What has this resulted in? Earlier, like I said, the whole boring blue or the Monday morning blues have been done away with. But today, younger audiences or audiences who we have not really tapped before are sitting up and noticing this vibrant colors, noticing this vibrant tone of voice and saying, hey, this is a brand probably which could be what I am looking for. And that's how it has helped us reach out to newer markets and audiences. And that's how most brands should do. They need to stay relevant, yet at the same time not treat it as a tick box activity. And that's what we've been doing in this case. So it's early days, but some of the feedback we've received have been exceptional. More newer audiences, younger audiences are seeming to recognize the brand, associate with it, and be willing to consider it. I'm not saying they're investing at this stage perhaps, but the fact that they moved from maybe from awareness to consideration is a very important tipping point for the marketer. And that's one of the biggest takeaways from us for this campaign.
Lovely. Bala, in a sea of sameness, as we call it as SOS, I think the talk that we normally have internally is that customer experience or CEX. I don't want to kind of phonetically spell it. It might kind of create some kind of a road. Customer experience is supposed to be your best product or service. Do you concur? Do you differ with this?
That's a great question. I think customer experience is indeed one of the most important parameters when you're actually assessing how a brand can get chosen over the other. But if you look at our sort of a product, there are not too many interaction points, especially with an end client with the asset manager. It's mostly the advisor or the client who comes through the advisor. So for us, as a firm, when we hold customer centricity at the very core of what we do, and in fact, delivering better client outcomes is one of our core mantras over the last 75 years, we want to ensure that any opportunity we get to interact with either the advisor or the end client is done in a manner where it's memorable, it's easy that they resolve their issue, because most clients are going to come to you only when they have some issues. They're not just going to come back for any other reason in most cases. But whatever they come to you for, it's important that we are able to resolve that in a smooth, efficient manner with causing minimal pain for the client. Remember, they're coming to you because they've trusted you with their hard-earned money. And it's not like you walk into a car showroom, take a car and walk off and then give it for an after service and then see the physical thing. You're giving me money over time, sometimes month after month, over the years, without being able to touch and feel anything except see a unit statement or a valuation on a piece of paper or online. Hence, whatever experience I can deliver around that is the most important customer experience which I can give. So for me, as an intangible for the brand, it's a lot more difficult. But if you can crack that and get that correct and give that one correct consumer experience whenever he's in touch with you, you will win him for life. And that's what's most important, because trust and therefore experience are what go hand in hand for a brand like ours.
And therefore also as a natural extension of that is what we conveniently coin as CLTV, right?
Yes.
Customer
Yes,
lifetime value, right?
And in products like ours or in categories like ours, it is a long-term life cycle journey which you're looking at for the client, right? He may invest with you or she may invest with you initially with a small sum of money right at the beginning of their career. But as they grow in their own career, they start spending more, but they also start investing more. And also, initially, say for a younger person, the goal might just be to buy the iPhone, the latest one, or go on a holiday.
Shiny object.
Yes, a shiny object, or go on a holiday or something. And hence the savings propensity or investment desires are for short-term to medium-term goals. But as they grow ahead in their career, as more and more responsibilities perhaps come their way, education, maybe even children's marriage, own higher education at times, and most importantly, the mother of all, retirement, these goals start getting important. So you try and typically ensure that that full journey is close to maybe 30, 40 years for a typical consumer. You have to ensure that the touch points that you have with him or her are very smooth. They make them want to continue, whether it's both online, offline, or hybrid in today's world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, Bala, before we let you go, and thank you for prompting this to me, marketing and sales, it's like church and state. The twain doesn't meet, or does it? I would like to know your thoughts on that.
It's interesting how sales and marketing have always been at loggerheads, and how everyone thinks that one's better than the other, but I don't like to look at it that way. I think it's a partnership, and that partnership is very important when you have to go with
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yes, and you have to use that partnership to move ahead in ensuring that the firm's overall business objectives and strategic vision is met. That said, let's look at how the sales process in typically mutual funds in this region is, right? As I mentioned, it's a largely B2B type of a business. I'm leaving the institutional part of it currently, but if you have advisors, earlier, pre-COVID, my salesperson or the relationship manager, as I would call him, would have at least 5 to 7 physical meetings a day where he would go and meet relationship managers, investment advisors, investment consultants, etc., of various banks, insurance companies, other advisors, and talk to them face-to-face about certain type of products. Then there would be huddles where he would go and meet multiple people, or there would be client events where they would come and listen to our fund managers, all of that. Obviously, post 2019-20, COVID hit, all of it changed. And the last couple of years, they've been doing all of this either on Zoom calls, online meetings, maybe even phone calls, WhatsApp, etc. Somehow people have been able to do a part of it, but we've seen a lot of fatigue set in. Thankfully, things are changing, things are opening up, we're seeing more and more openness happening, people are returning to offices, some hybrid, some full-time, and there is an opportunity for the salespeople from our teams, for example, to go out and meet more people. But what has happened in these 2 years, and that's a very interesting thing, especially in our category, I'm not sure how much it's in other categories is, but most guys are not still very comfortable meeting. They believe that they managed to get that online meeting done. They believe they've got the value through the various modes over the last couple of years, and physical meetings have dropped down. So instead of maybe 5 meetings a day, they're probably being able to do 2 or 3 meetings. So as much as 40 to 50% of physical meetings have been cut back, and what the people or advisors are today asking for is, come and meet me when there's a value proposition. And that's where the role of marketing really comes into sales and gets more important post this COVID era, is how can marketing partner with sales to create that value in each and every meeting that the sales guy does, in the limited number of meetings that he is having, so that he adds more value to that sales process. It works as a catalyst. The guy he's meeting or the girl he's meeting wants to meet him again, and that journey and interaction continues. Remember, it's very, very difficult to have someone invest in a category like ours, which is all about money, again, as I mentioned, intangibles, over a phone. How many people are going to call up and say, hey,
especially high consideration purchase?
Yes, especially high consideration. It's not an impulse bubblegum I can buy at the end of the checkout counter and I don't worry about it. I don't even see it. So physical, face-to-face interactions are very important, and we have realized as a team in marketing globally, how do we add value to that And that's where the whole aspect of thought leadership, consideration, etc. comes in. And that's where our journey is. So I think for us, COVID's been in a way a blessing because the relevance of marketing has come a lot more in what we're doing. And today, unfortunately, it's not at loggerheads, but it's with each other that we're moving ahead and adding value to help sales in that whole journey of business fulfillment.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Bala. I'm sure our audience will find it great return on time investment.
Thank you.
ROTI?
ROTI, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Lovely.
you. Thank you
for
so
doing this.
much.